Hey, what's up? I'm HypeHype. I play games, make games everywhere. Currently, I'm in Mexico City and there's lots to do here. Museums, parks, and boat rides. There's this place called Xochimilco. Went there last week with a bunch of friends. It was great. Colorful boats. They take you on a tour for 2 to 3 hours. You're drinking pulque, nectar of the gods. It was a fun thing to do in Mexico City. When we were on the boats, there was a lot of other people also on boats. All these boats would bump into each other and boatmen was running around trying to soften the blow. This was a lot of fun, and what if I made a game about this? That's what we're going to do today. I'm using HypeHype to make games, a great app that lets anybody make games on their phone, tablet, and even desktop browser. It's available for iOS and Android. Because it's still on early access, you have to go to their website, hypehype.com/get access. Fill out the form and they'll send you an email within 48 hours. If you like this kind of video where I make and play games, be sure to hit that like, subscribe, and bell icon for more notifications. To start out, let's go to Create Hype. What I'm thinking is we want a boat. I know a game mechanic that has a boat. Let's grab a boat. Here is a boat by the X. He's a great creator. Definitely check him out. We just need to steer the boat. I want to take that mechanic. Let's hit the remix button, turn the logic on. We got all these pieces for the boat. To select multiple objects, tap the screen and then tap objects you want. I think these just go to the camera. Okay, so let's hit copy. Let's go back to the original Hype and hit paste. Here we got the boat. It looks like the game mechanic didn't copy it. Okay, I take that back. It did, but we do need to change the camera view. Let's move it up here. Then we'll turn logic on. Let's move it back actually, that camera. I'm gonna go into the environment and turn off the fog for now because we're gonna need to be able to see everything when we're making the game. Let's get some random objects that will be in the way. I like this wooden boat. We have this military boat. I don't see this boat. So let's go ahead and take this boat, duplicate it. I'm gonna take this visual color and change it. That way it still keeps that shiny effect and we can have it for a different color for another boat. I'm gonna do that a couple times. Since we've got a little bit down, let's go ahead and save this. Let's get our deck friend Aku into the boat and let's just glue him to the boat. We need to attach the camera to follow the boat. Let's zoom out a little bit. I don't see the camera, so I'm just gonna go type it in. I like the fixed camera over the keep behind. Let's go and change the world environment colors. Let's create a start and a finish for this game so we can have the basic foundation set up. Add a collision trigger and a broadcaster. Next, we're going to set up an invisible green cube that will start the timer when the player crosses it. And we want to set the physics to an unmovable object, then go into the physics setting and set it as a sensor. Let's create a leaderboard that will keep track of the time. First, we need a container, 2 broadcasters, one to start, one to finish, a leaderboard, a text node, a time node. Yeah, and I think that's it. We got to put these in the container by dragging them over and waiting for the arrow. We want to go into the time node and turn off stop and time and executing. The broadcast listener start timer is going to turn on the timer and do it just by dragging our finger from the on signal receive to the timer. Next, let's go to the text. We're going to set the type to time, the format to 0.00, back to the time node, and on output, drag it over to the text node, output the time. Make sure that it's highlighting green, select value. Also on the time node, we go output to the leaderboard and we select score. Notice that there is a red line on the time node over here on the right. Going to the leaderboard, we want that to be gray because we don't want it to execute immediately, as the leaderboard needs to be executed at the end of the race. Let's go to the broadcast listener for game success. On signal receive, go over the time node, activation, stop and time. Game success, on signal receive, executing, input value off. On the start timer broadcast listener, on signal receive, go to the leaderboard and execute. Looks like we're good to go. Let's test it. The timer didn't turn on because we didn't set up the group properly. Trigger group on collision, broadcaster execute. Broadcaster start timer, not game success. Finish line does not have physics. Want it to be a sensor. Let's try it again. Let's add some more confetti to the finish line. When adding particles, be sure to turn the execute off. Otherwise, particles just start emitting at the very beginning of the game. Let's go to the collision trigger in the finish line. On collision start, connected to the particle, hit execute, executing on. And let's duplicate it. Tap and hold to select multiple objects. Tap the screen and then tap objects you want. Copy 2 particles. I'm going to duplicate them and push them to the back. Select the green arrow on collision start. Select the particle, execute on, rinse and repeat. Tap and hold to select multiple. Timer's working. Great. Let's save it, and this is where we need to set up the leaderboard as well. Hit save, leaderboard, time, set order to lowest number, and save as draft. Oh, also I want to turn these green things invisible. I'm going to create objects on the right side and objects on the left side. First, we're just getting all the objects set up on the right side. Just as a reference point, the boat is at X of 0, Y is up and down, and Z is back and forth. Let's add vector transform to these objects. We want on start, loop, duration to 0, and X of, let's see what -2 looks like. Okay, X of -0.25. Have it be a dynamic object. Do X of -0.125. Here, I'm gonna grab a container. We're gonna want this to be a reusable item. Let's grab this and put it in there. Now we're gonna do the same thing for these other objects. Physics dynamic, vector transform, execute on, loop on, -0.125. And I can change these later. I just wanna get this foundation set up properly. Looking at this boat, I want to add a switch on. Edit switch, probability distribution, set it all to 1. Everything has a 20% chance. And what this is gonna do is set the color of the object. Visual and material slot, here we have 1, 2, 3, 4. We wanna change material slot 1. Visual material slot A. And let's look at the visual names of the colors. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm gonna add a random node into the boat that will affect the vector transform. So right now the vector transform is set to -0.15, but we can set that to 0. I think it'd be cool to have a variable range. Okay, and now the vector transform will be between -0.01 and -0.15. We're gonna have multiple of these boats, and the cool thing is we can just go ahead over here and take this boat out. Move it into the water. See, they're moving at different speeds. Some of them are a little bit too slow, so let's move this to 0.05. And if we hit the restart, we see that they are different colors. And I really like that smoke particle, I believe, in this boat. So let's go ahead and add that to the other. I can't duplicate that up there. Into here, go ahead and have 2 of them. And let's add the random node and the switch node to give this boat similar flexibility or movement speeds, since we will have many of these boats. Vector transform, vector X, on start for the switch, visual, I think it's slot A, let's double check it. Okay, so it's slot A, B, C is what we want to change. Let's set up the logs with the similar random variable for the vector X speed. Now that we have this set up, we can actually just start dragging these objects into the game from the right hand panel. The only downside right now is that the Y value is at 2 instead of -2. The objects are kind of floating in the air, but we can fix that later. And let's go ahead and move these containers back so we don't get them confused. All right, we got a lot of boats. Some of these boats are moving fast, a little too fast, I think. So let's go ahead and slow it down. Right now we have 4 objects. I want more. Once we get a couple more, we can then select all the reusable objects, copy them, and then put them on the left side and change the negative X values to positive so that we could have boats coming from the right as well as from the left. So let's grab a new container, put it over the big turtle. HypeHype has loads of top tier quality assets that you can use when making games, and they're adding more every day. Maybe a wooden pallet floating in the water. When I think of the beaches of New York City, I think trash. We could also add some trash. Yeah, like a pizza box. We can add fish. I have a fish in another game, and it's actually 2 fishes that are spinning around an object, so it looks like the fishes are jumping out of the water. Let's go grab that. Hey, this game was a lot of fun to make. Copy. It's both of them. Okay, so let's copy, exit, back to drafts, edit, and let's just paste. Let's add it into a container. And I was thinking of just adding this put it like here, and you can just put these all over the place. Okay, let's set up the sea turtle and this wooden pallet. Let's add some stuff to the wooden pallet right now, like a pizza box and maybe like a sleeping dude. And I kind of want his skin tone to be a little red because he's sunburned. And let's get a container for this. And we'll go ahead and put all these objects inside the container. Let's go ahead, back to transform, random, on loop, duration set to 0. Do all that for the turtle as well. We want to make sure that the physics is set to dynamic. Let's go grab all these. We're selecting the container. We're going to hit duplicate. Okay, great. So they're all over here now. Oh, and we didn't get everything. Let's select the container, which is the little box with the image. Duplicate. Great. Now we're going to move it over here to the left side. Now these are separate containers. That log needs to be dynamic. We have to be sure to change it on the other side as well. Let's label the objects on the right side. The objects on the right go left. The objects on the left go right, and the naming convention conveys the direction that the object goes. All right, now let's change all the negative X values to positive X values and flip the objects. Back to transform, random, select the negative button. Now there's a positive. From here, what I'm gonna do is just drag and drop the reusable objects. So the right object to move into the right. Okay, I've gone in, made the ground purple, and then added a tile on top of it with no physics. This way it looks like the boats are going through water. I've updated all the less reusable objects going right so that they move properly. Let's go ahead and move. There we go, like this. So the background ships are kind of a little bit faded. Set camera and let's test it. And looking good. I wanted to use a spawner for the boats, but I'm not exactly sure how. So if you would like to see that, let me know in the comments below. This game was a lot of fun to make. I love getting game ideas from real life. Let me know where you get your game ideas in the comments below. Until next time, I'm HypeHype. Stay safe out there and peace.